Hi, my name is Eric Meyer. I'm going to talk a little bit about my childhood and what led up to July 4th, 2010. When I was about 7 years old, I was going to sleep, and a spirit named Jesus Christ spoke with me, offered me a gift for my mission later in life. I asked him to heal people, bring them good health. Lord Jesus granted that wish. I asked if I could have one more wish. Slightly irritated, Lord Jesus said, sure, what would that be? I asked to be able to have ESP, extrasensory perception, uh, back at age 7. And then, just minutes after that dialogue, I felt energy flowing from my hands and fingers. I then got out of bed. I was a child, 7 years old, told my mother about this. At the time, she told me it was about 1 a.m., going back to bed. Uh, and then later in life, number of years later, I told her some details of this, and she thought that it was rather ridiculous. Uh, she went on over the years to pretty much keep me away from churches for the most part, and I grew up for the majority of my life being rather agnostic. In other words, I wanted God to believe, but for most of my life up until the year of July of 2010, I had a difficult time believing in God or having faith in Lord Jesus. And I had a very scientific mind, very analytical, much into computers as my hobby, handwriting analysis and reading books on politics and mathematics and science and so forth. Very analytical kind of things. Um, and then later in life, I went to school in New Hampshire called the Meeting School. It was a boarding school I was sent to by my mother. At that school, I learned how to use energy fields to cause and bring about healing. I also was able to do very minimal work with, you might say, ESP, and just that it was primarily being able to detect beyond what the normal senses could provide in energy fields around people, and be able to detect health ailments in the body by putting the hand a few inches from the body and sensing the energy fields. I took that class with an instructor named Kate Kerman at the Meeting School. That was a Quaker religious boarding school I went to. Although it was a religious school, I was very hesitant to uh, accept Lord Jesus into my life or the Bible. I was just very skeptical, very critical of the Bible. I felt that it was an old document at the time in my life. I thought it was an old document, the Bible, and I did not understand it. And then the next year I went uh, to another uh, school. I started pretty much being forced to attend a kind of a public school through a private tutor because of an alleged mental illness I had. Uh, Before I went to the first school I mentioned, the Meeting School, I went to a different boarding school. That one was called Only Friends School, and at that boarding school, it was also a religious Quaker school, and they taught the Bible as well, and I also at that school was um, reluctant. So to sort of put this in order, I was homeschooled from grades 1 through 8, where I, for the most part, educated myself, say what I wanted, how I wanted, when I wanted, and spent a majority of my time as a homeschooler programming the computer. That's primarily what I did as a child from grades 1 through 8. Ninth grade, I went to a public school called Liberty Benton in Findlay, Ohio. At that school, I, for the most part, did not fit in. I was anti-war. My peers were pro-war. It just was a disaster. I transferred schools to Only Friends School in Burnsville, Ohio. Went there for a little less than a year. At that school, I was exposed to the Bible, but it did not make sense to me. The next year, I went to the meeting school in Ridge, New Hampshire. Again, I was exposed to the Bible and religious teachings, but it did not make sense to me. Then I went into a hospital as a child, um, was accused of being mentally ill, put into a group home, was somewhat privately tutored through that, um, then got my GED, and then went to college at Lima Technical College for about a year, then uh, withdrew because I had some trouble with uh, evil spirits, and then they were harassing me, and then I lived on SSI for a number of years, and then in 2010 June I got some Bible Code software, and I was very ambitious to get off for public assistance. I wanted to get a job working for City Council at large here in Findlay, Ohio. So I started up a political campaign at the bank and filed at the uh, elections building, and I started getting ready to do some campaigning, and I told my wife I wanted to use nearly all of my SSI money for my political campaign. I made that mistake. Uh, I was a bit behind on rent by 1 month, and I'm trying to fund my political campaign. Then by the end part of June 2010, about 3 days prior to the first day of July of 2010, I realized my mistake. I apologized to my wife. I gave her all but 22% of my $674 income from Social Security. I told my wife Melanie that from now on you handle all the reasonable expenses. I'll handle the campaign of 22%, keep it within 22% of the income. And then my wife went into a group home, Brookside, and I was in the apartment here on Lincoln Street in Findlay, Ohio, by myself for several days, and a number of events unfolded that I'll get to in the next video segment here. Uh, but what I'm saying is the with regards to the Bible Code, I was researching it with a program called Bible Code Oracle that gave lookup of keywords but did not unseal the text in the sense of unsealing, meaning using a dictionary of several thousand words to unseal and find keywords. It could not have that capacity. I had to manually enter one keyword at a time with Bible Code Oracle I had purchased in June 2010. Um, After a number of hours of the day of July 4th, um, well, first on July 4th, I went to a church. I walked about 2.5 miles, um, which took me about 2.5 hours on a hot day in July 4th, 2010, to a church that asked them if I could get a meeting space and teach a class in Bible Code. They declined on that, explaining that people were not ready yet for Bible Code. I then was driven home by one of the clergymen of Stonebridge Church here in Findlay, Ohio. Um, and then there that day I was uh, feeling concerned that people did not understand my interest in Bible Code prophecy, and I wanted to get working with Bible Code, and I thought Israel would be a very religious country, and they would be very spiritual, I thought, and would understand my interest in Bible Code and Bible Code prophecy, and that they would possibly support my research in Bible Code. So what I did is I contacted the Israeli Prime Minister by email on July 4th, 2010, and that day, my wife seemed to be missing because the police from this Findlay Police Department came to my home asking to search the house. Apparently my stepdaughter Echo shyly thought that Melanie may have been injured, or possibly by me or by somebody else. Didn't know what happened to Melanie. Police came to my home, tried to find Melanie. They could not find her. I explained that as far as I knew, Melanie was at Brookside Group Home. Police left. I was concerned that possibly Melanie was in trouble from the email I sent to Israel. Uh, I was worried. I went on Bible Code asking Lord Jesus to help me find Melanie. I thought she was kidnapped as a result of my action of emailing the Israeli Prime Minister, and that it may have possibly caused some political tensions between the United States and Israel. So what I did then is I looked up in the Bible Code under Liturgitas. In the Bible Code, first I looked under Brookside because I thought she was in Brookside as a starting point. There I found the word Liturgitas in the Bible or Bible Code actually, of the Christian Torah. And under Bible Code of Brookside, with the last letters of Brookside removed, I found a prophecy that had in there the word Liturgitas. I looked then under the prophecy of Liturgitas, and I did not know the unlock code. So I asked Lord Jesus for a sign in prayer, and then the phone rang, and it was Rite Aid Pharmacy saying that Melanie had medicine ready to be picked up at the pharmacy. It would be held until the 14th day of July, 2010. So I typed in the numbers 1-4 in the Bible Code. The prophecy came up in the Liturgitas with a number of keywords. I then memorized those keywords, thinking I was going to use them to save Melanie. It looked like a horribly depressing prophecy. I had nothing to do with it except to save my wife, Melanie, because I thought she was in trouble from emailing the Israeli Prime Minister. I then went about my day and put it down and called my dad and called my daughter Echo and asked them what they recommend, how I can save Melanie with this Bible Code prophecy. They assured me that she was just probably fine, not to worry, and just relax. And so I had a meal. Then looked up on the Bible Code. I researched the keywords end of Social Security. I'm not sure if I typed in the keyword END SSA or if I might have typed in SSA END in the Bible Code, but I did one or the other, and the Bible Code said it ended in September, but it didn't give a year in that prophecy, so I thought Social Security would end in September, either 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, etc. But I wasn't sure of the year. It didn't say in the prophecy. I also looked up the word school, SCHOOL. In that prophecy, the author of the Bible Code, because at the time I thought that possibly space aliens made this Bible Code because I didn't understand it at the time because I was agnostic. The Bible Code said that words like bison, lots of bison were in the Bible Code under the keyword of school, and it talked about the authority of school being kind of a negative thing. And I thought, hey, this author of the Bible Code doesn't seem to like school very well. And that gave me a warm feeling because I do not like education or school as it's been set up by academia. I think it's very corrupt. And it appeared that the author of the Bible Code also thought it was very corrupt. And that helped win me over to the author of the Bible Code, who I thought was at the time either aliens or a powerful spirit. I had no clue who that spirit was, except that theoretically it was God, but at the time I was agnostic and I could not understand. So then what happened is, after I looked up my political campaign, the word barbecued came up in the Bible Code. And with the word barbecued, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought it might have meant food was being served or something. As it turned out, barbecued meant it would be destroyed or derailed. After those prophecies, I relaxed for a bit, had some more supper. It was getting kind of late that day, July 4th, 2010. So I finally thought, well, hey, I'll go look up my prophecy. I look up Eric Meyer in the Bible Code. So I looked up Bible Code, Eric Meyer in the Bible Code. I saw a prophecy under Eric Meyer. It had the word adultery in it. I thought, hey, this can't be my prophecy. This must be something that I'll never going to do. I'll just close this out and go to a different prophecy. So I went to the next prophecy, and then that one I said to Lord Jesus or whoever God was, I said, whatever whoever wrote this Bible Code, I will do whatever you say in this prophecy. Now, I forgot to mention here that earlier that day I looked in the Bible Code and under Eric Meyer, and I found a prophecy that had the whole incident, me walking to the church, and having dialogue with the church at Stonebridge. That was in the Bible Code as well. And then I looked up Eric Meyer and I found the word adultery, and it made no sense to me, like I just said about look up Eric Meyer. And then the third time I looked up Eric Meyer, I said the author of Bible Code said, okay, here are my thoughts. Whatever you say in this prophecy, I'll do whatever you say. In that prophecy, it pulled up using Bible Codes Plus from Computronic Corporation. It said shackles about four times. It said strong and true law. It said Israel and missile in the same line. It said, the author of the Bible Code said that I'll be abandoned and forgotten, and it said jail in the corner of the screen. And I said, Lord Jesus, if this is you, show me a sign representing my server company in this prophecy, so I know that this is truly something that's related to me, Eric Meyer, not some other Eric Meyer. So I looked in there and I saw the name of my server company, CI Host, in that prophecy. And I just kind of panicked, and so what I did is I first started calling the President of the United States, and I thought that I needed to turn myself in because I thought I'd be accused of being a terrorist or something with Israel and a missile, and I was frightened because I knew I was not a terrorist, but I thought I was going to be accused wrongly of being a terrorist. So I tried to turn myself into the police to try to prevent a world war or any kind of skirmish between the United States and Israel, because I thought Israel would want to pry me for being some sort of terrorist. And I thought that the United States would try to protect me, and that would cause a conflict between the U.S. and Israel. So I wanted to quickly turn myself in to the police so they could arrest me and then extradite me to Israel to stand trial for the misunderstanding and the prophecy of the email I sent to Israel earlier that day about wanting them to help me with my mission, help look me up in the Bible Code, then call me. So what happened is, with that prophecy of Eric Meyer and Israel and missile and shackles four times was listed, and being abandoned and forgotten and in jail, and the word unstrung, untrue law, and the server company CI Host, I just panicked. So like I said, I called the president's office, but I couldn't reach President Barack Obama. So then next I tried calling the FBI. I couldn't have any long distance, so I called Collect and talked to them. They just comforted me at the FBI and said, don't worry about anything. If there's anything you did illegal, we'll let you know, but we don't think you did anything illegal by emailing Israel. I thanked them, appreciated them, got off the phone. I still thought I needed to do something because God put this prophecy in front of me for a reason. I didn't know what it was, or whoever it is that wrote the Bible Code. So I called the Findlay Police Department and asked them if the police come and arrest me. They came out, didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to, could not arrest me. They said because I didn't break any law. But they said they could take me to the mental hospital instead. So what I did is I accepted a ride to the mental hospital at Orchard Hall in Findlay, Ohio. And then I started my prophecy up there. And I'll get to that in the next segment. I'll put this next segment up saying post-admission at the hospital in Findlay, Ohio. So that would be all for this particular segment, and I'll get to the next segment here shortly.